All right, I think we're going. Good morning, it is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. It is I. I'm so tired. Yes, let's get it going here. Okay, wait, does that corner up there is still fucking going? There we go, okay. Hold on, give me a second, I gotta like blow my nose. Oh, shit. Oh. Yeah, I just like kind of crawled out of bed. I mean, I was up before earlier, but yeah. Hey. So, as you know, stuff is going down. First of all, free Palestine. Slava Ukraine. Yeah. So here I am in my world here. I'm running Distant Horizons and using Bliss shaders. And what I also found out was that you can, like, ever since 24.1.1 or after that, the RADEON drivers would not let you use fluid motion frames inside of Minecraft, either Windows or Java. And I was kind of bummed out because I was stuck stuck using old drivers if I wanted fluid motion frames, or I can just like not have them and then think, oh, it wasn't that important anyways. Well, I found out that all you need to do is do a little tiny registry tweak, and you can enable fluid motion frames in both Java Minecraft and Windows Minecraft. And then as I did it, I'm like, wow, it really makes a big difference. Number one. Number two, I also turned on my HDR, high def, or what? HDR. What is that? High dynamic range. High dynamic range for colors. Which, like, to me, it's like, wow, it's amazing. It makes everything pop. It makes it so much better. It makes everything better. Look way better. Like, this shader pack looks amazing with high dynamic range. So I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out how I could get this to stream in high definition or high dynamic range. But it turns out my camera, like, not my camera, but the chroma key, the thing I'd use to make my background invisible, doesn't work if I use that. So and plus I'm gonna need a lot more bandwidth than I have. So, oh well, no high dynamic range for you guys. Sorry. But for me, it's great. I'm like, wow, it's so nice, so nice. And then the fluid motion frames are great. I was watching a video by this guy named Ancient Gameplays. He's an Egyptian guy. And he's a big fan of AMD. And he said to limit the frame rates and then to about half of your monitor's refresh, and then let fluid motion frames fill in the rest, and that will save your video card from working too hard. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That works really good. That actually works. You still get the effect of fluid motion frames, but without killing your video card. So yeah. All right. Bliss shaders, I dig it. Well, high dynamic range. That color, the color pop is like really kind of significant. I never realized it because I never had like a monitor that could like do it before, and like, or I didn't have a TV. You know, it first came out on TVs, and everyone loved it on TVs, but I never could figure it out. Well, now I can. So it's great. Oh, it's raining. It's raining. I mean, Bliss Shaders gets the sky and the clouds really well. It does it really well. But for like the way the light moves, you need rethinking voxels. Rethinking voxels is like amazing when it comes to the light. But for the clouds, look at these clouds. These clouds are amazing. These are like great clouds. They're like clouds, actual clouds. They're really good. I really dig it. I mean, there's still some weird stuff about it, but that's okay. So yeah, it's been like a crazy week. Oh shit. Anytime I have a shit ton of video, you know it's been a crazy week. And I have a lot of video to play. So like I can spend time being ooh about Minecraft, but that's not why you came here. Or maybe it is, but I'm about to trick you. Nah, not trick you, but I'm gonna educate you on what's been going on. What's been going on? Ooh. Okay. So, as you know, the United States has been assisting Israel in its genocide of the Palestinian people. The World Court has determined that there's a genocide going on, and in response to the World Court's finding that a genocide was going on, Israel made a false claim about a UN aid agency without proof, and immediately, just based on what Israel said, the false allegation of Israel, the United States suspended aid or suspended funding to the agency that was providing aid to the Palestinians. So in other words, famine and disease is one way of enacting genocide, and the United States assisted Israel in creating famine conditions inside of Gaza. So because what's Israel's goal? Israel's goal is to drive out all the Palestinian people so it can take the land. That's what they want to do. They want to drive out all the people so they can take the land. And the United States is helping them by turning off funding to the aid agency that keeps the Palestinian people alive. So, you know, right? What's the United States doing? Helping to commit genocide. The United States already has a history of genocide. It's acting as if it didn't learn anything from it. So, in response, I mean, like, this has been going on for months. The United States covers for Israel as Israel commits genocide. And so I've been talking about it for months and months. But finally, there's been some protests happening in the United States. Some, like, serious protests. I mean, serious. I mean, a bunch of students at universities are camping out on the quad, on their campuses, to protest. And, you know, it's not like a violent protest. They're just camping out. But the way the state has reacted tells you something about the state, the nature of the state. So, if you recall, on January 6, 2021, a mob of white supremacists and Confederates and Nazis got together to violently overthrow the United States government. They killed some police officers. They killed some people of their own like in their own thing. They all brought weapons. They were really violent. They attacked police officers. It was all recorded so that there's no doubt about what happened. And yet, all those people, right after they tried to overthrow the government, they all walked home. They all just left peacefully. No one tried to arrest them. No one tried to stop them. They just left. They literally just left after they tried to overthrow the government. In contrast, you have kids camping out on the lawn, doing no harm to anyone, not blocking anything, not stopping the functioning of the university. All they're doing is camping out, and the state reacts violently towards them. Whereas the state didn't react violently toward the white supremacists who were trying to overthrow the government, but the state reacted violently to non-violent protesters who are protesting the genocide. And you got to think, well, why is that? Why would the state react violently toward people protesting against genocide, but not react violently towards people using violence to overthrow the government? Because the United States, I mean, I hate to admit it, but the United States is a white supremacist society. It's based on white supremacy. And democracy is more of a threat to white supremacy than dictatorship. So yeah, so the government reacted peacefully toward people, I mean more or less peacefully, toward people who are trying to use violence to overthrow the government, but react violently toward non-violent protesters who are questioning the role of the state in the genocide of the Palestinian people. So, but the thing about this protest is that it's really about framing. You can tell because the way that the media has been framing the protests. The media wants to continue so Israel has created conditions which conflate two separate things. It combines two things that are different, but it combines them. Let me actually go build stuff, right? The state of Israel wants to say that Israel and the Jewish people are the same thing. But they're not. They're not at all. There's no connection. But Israel, the state of Israel, gets a benefit if people conflate the two. If they confused Israel with the Jewish people, then they can say any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. Because they say Israel is Jewish, which is stupid, right? Like, states don't have an ethnicity. I mean, they're trying to create an ethno-state, right? Like the Nazis. The Nazis wanted an ethno-state, and the white supremacists, they want an ethno-state. So in that sense, you could say a state has an ethnicity if it's an ethno-state. But you can't have an ethno-state and democracy at the same time. Because a democracy requires that all citizens be treated equally. And an ethno-state says no. People are treated differently depending upon their perceived race, quote, quote. So Israel wants to conflate the state of Israel with the Jewish people. That way, if you start complaining about, oh, what's the state of Israel doing? Israel will be like, oh, that's anti-Semitic because we're Jewish people. But you're not talking about Jewish people. You're talking about the state of Israel. But you got to remember, they can't do it by themselves. They need the help of the media to do this. So, and that's called framing. I've talked about this before. Framing is the process of highlighting one or a few characteristics of a topic in order to affect perception, public or individual, of that person, event, or thing. By deciding how the public sees a person, a framer can decide how the public thinks about a person. So remember, Israel wants to conflate the state of Israel with Jewish people to protect Israel. That way, if you criticize the actions of Israel, they'll say, oh, you're being anti-Semitic toward Jewish people. But that's not true, because they're separate things. They're separate things. They're not the same thing. So, for an example, understand that the protests happening across the campuses are in response to Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. So people are protesting against genocide. They're protesting against genocide, the actions of the state of Israel, which is genocidal. So if you actually listen to them, if you actually listen to the protesters, now you have to remember, there are things called agent provocateurs. Agent provocateurs are agents of the other side that want to cause problems for the group. So in this instance, agent provocateurs would be Zionists, Zionazis. They would be Zionazis. Zionazis are people that believe in a story. They tell a story. They tell the story that this deity promised this ancient group some real estate, and because of that, thousands of years later, they say, oh yeah, like we get to eliminate all the people living on this land and claim it for ourselves because of this ancient story. And they use Nazi tactics to affect their actions. So they're Zio-Nazis. They call themselves Zionists, but they're actually Zio-Nazis. Joe Biden's a Zio-Nazi. He admitted it. He claimed it twice. He doubled down on being a Zio-Nazi. So Zio-Nazis will become agent provocateurs. They will infiltrate these groups in order to create a bad frame. So remember, it's all about framing. So check out what's going on here.
Free Palestine!
So listen to what the group is saying. The group is saying, free Palestine. Who protects us? We protect us. Protect us.
Mic check.
Mic check!
That means you repeat to me what I say to you. Got it?
Got it!
Okay.
Kill the Jews. Anybody on board?
Who's saying that? Not the group. Not the group. Who just said kill the Jews? It was one dude somewhere in the back. It was one dude somewhere in the back. Not the group. Not the group. It was one dude, one agent provocateur somewhere in the back who said kill the Jews. Listen.
Anybody on board? You just chanted for it. You just chanted for it. You just chanted for it.
Listen again. It's one guy. It's one guy who infiltrated the group to cause problems.
Who protects us?
Mic check.
Mic check!
That means you repeat to me what I say to you. Got it?
Got it!
Okay.
Kill the Jews. Anybody on board? Anybody on board? You just chanted for it. You just chanted for it. You just chanted for it.
All right. Sorry, I got attacked in the middle of that. Because it's dark. It's super dark. So you can hear for yourself and see that there was one guy in the group who's an agent provocateur who went in there to try to make the group look bad. So what happened after that? What happened was this newspaper here, the Huntington News, said what began as a student demonstration 2 days ago was infiltrated by professional organizers with no affiliation to Northeastern. Last night, the use of virulent anti-Semitic slurs, including "kill the Jews," crossed the line. We cannot tolerate this kind of hate on campus. So in other words, they want to use the fact that this agent provocateur snuck in and said kill the Jews to shut down all the protesting. They want to, because this one guy came in and said that, they want to use that excuse to shut down the whole thing by saying the whole thing is anti-Semitic. Remember how I told you that in the Fifth Circuit, they passed a law that says if one person commits a crime in a protest, the organizers will be charged with that crime? Now you see why they want to do it. Because that allows them to send in agent provocateurs to shut down anything they don't want. So all they had to do was send in one guy to shout kill the Jews, and now they're trying to shut down the whole protest by saying oh look, the whole thing's anti-Semitic. So that's the power of framing. That's how they want to frame it. Man, there's a bunch. Why are you out here, bad guys? Go, go, little guy. Kill that skeleton. Oh, I'm gonna die. I should not be here. Look at all these monsters, man. What's up? I need to put down torches. It's because it's raining. So it's not quite bright enough to banish the monsters. Out of torches. Ah. The power of framing. Yeah, so I mean, like, it's not like they're brand new at this. Zion Nazis have been shutting down protests against the genocidal state of Israel for a long time. They're really practiced at it. They know how to do it. They know how to manipulate public perception and the media. I mean, even I was kind of confused for a while as to what was going on. So I'm not immune to it. So Israel wants to conflate Jewish people and the state of Israel so they can continue to do their genocide of the Palestinian people. And the police are pretty violent. They're a lot more violent towards the students who are non-violent than they are than they were to the January 6th rioters or insurrectionists who tried to overthrow the government, which tells you which one the state prefers. So check this out. Here's a cop tasing a guy who's already handcuffed. Look at him, look at him, look at that muscle being tensed. He's already handcuffed and he's being tased by that cop. See it again. Look at that. He's already handcuffed. You see that? He's already handcuffed. And they're still trying to tase him. And they're tasing him anyways. So that's like torture. They're just torturing the guy for non-violent protesting on a campus. White supremacy. Cops are sadistic, dude. Cops are like terrible. They like inflicting pain. That's why they have their jobs. They like inflicting pain. They get off on it. This meme was great. So you have mass graves, public executions, forced famine, drone assassins, chemical weapons, bombing mosques and churches, blocking aid, assassinate poets, kidnap children, bomb children, level cities, segregation, kill journalists, killing aid workers. But in the United States, you see college students protesting, and you say, "Is this oppression?" They call the protesting the oppression. That like, what kind of society is okay with killing kids? But if you resist the idea of killing kids, you're called an oppressor. A white supremacist society does that kind of thing. And yeah, dude, there's mass graves. There's mass graves in Gaza. Israel's been doing mass killings of people. So you can see here a dead body, hands tied and dressed in medical scrubs, was discovered among the hundreds found in mass graves at Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza, left by the Israeli army. This guy is wearing scrubs, and look at his hands are bound behind his back, and he was executed and then buried in a mass grave. Because that's what Israel does. Israel's committing genocide. That's why there's protests, because Israel's committing genocide. And Joe Biden and the Democrats are all for it. Like my own representative, Andrea Salinas, I think that's her name, Salinas. I have to look it up. She voted for it. She voted for Israel to commit genocide, and she said, "Oh, well, that's because this way we could send aid to the Palestinian people." Dude, the why isn't the aid getting there? Why isn't the aid getting there? Where is it? I can't find it right now. Oh yeah, right here. Why isn't the aid getting there? Oh, this image encapsulates the story between brutal colonization and the Palestinian people living under occupation. In the picture, humanitarian aid intended for the hungry in Gaza is intercepted by crowds of Israelis with support from Israeli police, thrown to the ground and prevented from reaching Gaza. Oh, so you mean to tell me the reason why no aid is able to get to the Palestinian people is because the Israelis are blocking it? Oh, right? Because the Israelis also leveled a false allegation against the aid agency to stop them from keeping the Palestinian people alive. So the reason, so Andrea Salinas, her vote to support the Israeli genocide, with the caveat that, oh, we're sending aid to the Palestinian people, is kind of empty, because the Israelis themselves are blocking the aid. The aid will never get there because the Israelis stopped them. Remember that flotilla that there was a flotilla, a bunch of ships that tried to deliver aid to Israel in 2010, and Israel intercepted the ship and killed a bunch of people on the ship. You remember that? Well, they tried to do it again. They're trying to do it again, but then Turkey blocked them. Man, I got too many here, too much here. Ships from Turkey planning to deliver aid to Gaza were denied rights to sail. A 3-ship flotilla planning to reach Gaza with humanitarian aid from Turkey was prevented from sailing by Guinea-Bissau authorities, which took down their country's flag from 2 ships, organizers said. Just before the flotilla was set to sail from Turkey to Gaza on Friday with 5,000 tons of aid, a surprise inspection by the Guinea-Bissau International Ship Registry resulted in the removal of the flags from 2 of the Freedom Flotilla ships. So, like they're trying to stop. I gotta go to bed again. They're trying to stop the aid from reaching Gaza, because that way the people of Gaza die and Israel can take their land. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of Israel's genocide, is to kill the people that live there so they can take the land. So my representative voted to help Israel commit genocide. So I mean, like, the primary's coming up, right? Here, I got my official Marion County voter pamphlet here. Let me go check this out, right? Why even guess? I can, like, look this up. Da 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 da. Let me see. These are Marion County though. Like, do I have one for voter pamphlet? There we go. Now I have my, see, Bill Burgess, he's the county clerk, and he's great. We get a lot of information. We get a lot of information from him. Da da da. U.S. representatives. No, mine's in, I'm in 5. I think I'm 5. Maybe not 5. Da, 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 da. I mean, I can look it up on the internet. Oh, yeah, we got Andrea Salinas. That's right. Andrea Salinas is the one that voted for Israel to receive more weapons to kill more people. I wrote to her saying, "Yo, dude, don't be doing this," and she did it anyways. She doesn't really care about what I think. So, you know, she's all in for genocide, which means I can't be in for her. I'm not voting for her. Who's her opponent? Joe. So, wait a minute. Where'd it go? It's this one. Who's her opponent here? Cody Reynolds. I'm probably gonna vote for him. He looks like he's a. Let's see. I don't know, right? Because his background was owner, investor, advisor, and soldier. I wonder if he's a little bit conservative or right winger. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know what his view is on genocide. I'd have to check that out. But it looks real bad for Andrea Salinas. She just voted for genocide. So why, like, if Israelis are blocking ships and Israelis are blocking aid from trucks, the United States was sending airdrops in, but those airdrops are insufficient and they're like really bad way of delivering aid. So what is the United States going to propose to do? Oh, it wants to make a port. It wants to make a port. So the United States is like, oh, since Israel is blocking aid from getting to the Palestinians, and since Israel attacks ships that try to deliver aid by themselves, we're going to build a port to do that. But wait a minute, that's really weird. Why would you spend all that time and money and energy to build a port when it's way easier just to send it in trucks over land? There already exists ports in Israel. Why do you have to build a whole brand new one just to send in aid? Why would, like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you build a brand new port just to send in aid? Oh, that's right. Remember that saying that you're safe unless a country is safe unless it has oil, then the United States will take it over? That's not a joke. It's not a joke. Gas was found off the coast of Gaza. So in order for for Israel to exploit the gas off the coast of Gaza, they're going to need a port. The port's not for aid. The port is to extract the gas for Israel's benefit. Not for the people of Palestine, but for Israel's benefit. That's why they're building the port. It's not to deliver aid. It's to extract the gas for the Israelis. Like, the whole thing's messed up. Which is why I'm glad that the students are protesting. And hopefully that protest starts spreading across society. But it's pretty tough, right? Because we have a lot of white supremacists that live in the United States. A lot of people are white supremacists in this country. Like, they're not even conscious of the fact they're white supremacists. like that's the thing. Like, they're not even aware that they're white supremacists. They think that they're just, like, going along like, la, 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 I'm not a white supremacist because I'm not part of the Nazi party. But, like, they vote for Republicans, which is the Nazi party in America. And then they support Israel, which is a genocidal state. I mean, you can say you're not a Nazi, but if you act like a Nazi, talk like a Nazi, walk like a Nazi, you're probably a Nazi. So you can think, all right, so here's an example of trying to conflate Israeli genocide with the Jewish people. Because remember, Zion-Nazis want to conflate the two. They want to conflate the state of Israel with the Jewish people. They want to make them the same thing when they're not the same thing. But Zion-Nazis need the cover by saying anti-Semitism. So they need that cover. So that they're trying to combine the two when they're not combinable. So let me give you an example. A Zion-Nazi walked... Okay, so here's an example of an agent provocateur. This Zion-Nazi attempted to elicit a violent response from the protesters on the university campus. They attempted to, but it didn't work. So check this out. This person here showed up wearing... See? That's the thing. This person is a Zion-Nazi. They're trying to conflate the Jewish people with the state of Israel, which you cannot do. They're separate things. Jewish people are separate from the state of Israel. But she doesn't understand. She doesn't believe that, right? She's a Zion-Nazi. She believes the state of Israel and the Jewish people are the same thing. So she thinks, in her mind, if she shows up at this anti-Israel protest as a Jew, she believes she will be attacked. But she's not. Nobody cares that she's a Jew. That's not the problem. The problem isn't Jewishness. The problem is the genocide of the Israeli state. That's the problem. That's what people are protesting. Not Jewish people. They're protesting the Israeli state. But she's trying to conflate the two to make them the same. Look it. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares. Oh, you're a Jew. That's cool. Whatever. No one cares. Everyone's just vibing, dude. Everyone's having a good time protesting genocide. And then look at it. Nobody cares. She's expecting to be attacked, but no one cares that she's Jewish. No one cares. It's not, Jewishness is not the thing being protested. Understand that. It's the Israeli genocide which is being protested. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. In fact, look behind her. Jews for a free Palestine. Oh! Being Jewish has nothing to do with it. It's about the genocide of the Israeli state. Look at that. Jews for a free Palestine. So there's more Jewish people. There's more Jewish people there. And those Jewish people are saying, hey, we want a free Palestine. The Zion Nazis want to conflate the state of Israel with the Jewish people, but you can't do it. You can't do it. You cannot conflate the two. So here's an example of the way the state is protecting white supremacy, because genocide The genocide being perpetrated by Israel is a form of white supremacy. It's settler colonialism. So here's an example of it. So the police are being really violent in arresting people, right? They're totally cool with insurrectionists, violent insurrectionists. they let them walk home. But students sitting down on campus, not blocking anything, oh, those have to be met with violence because they're threatening white supremacy. This protest threatens the status quo of white supremacy, the hegemony of white supremacy. You're not supposed to question the existence of white supremacy. You're not supposed to question the actions of white supremacy, because if you question it, you threaten it. So the police act violently towards students who are questioning white supremacy. Now you're gonna have a professor seeing her student getting violently arrested and coming up and demanding, asking the police, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Oh my God, what are you doing?" No, you see that woman in the white, right? She didn't touch them. She didn't do anything. She didn't do nothing to them. She did nothing. She was asking, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And look at the state. Look what the police do. Right? He's been arrested. So that's a professor. She literally works there. She literally works there. She's not trespassing. She literally works there. And the police are being violently taking her down. Like, look at her head, dude, on the concrete. Like, the police don't give a fuck. The police are terrible people. Fuck the police. What? Because they serve white supremacy. Like, I say fuck the police, rah rah rah, right? No, I really mean it. Fuck the police. Remember when they killed Elijah McClain? Elijah McClain was just a guy. All he was doing was walking home. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't hurting anybody. He wasn't doing anything. The police showed up and then fucking killed him. An innocent person. They just rolled up and killed a guy. And they did it because he was black. Right? Because America is a white supremacist state. So, and you think, oh, maybe that's just a one-off. Maybe that's just a one-off. No, guys! They've been doing it all the time. Medics across the U.S. have been quietly injecting sedatives to subdue people detained by police. Dozens of deaths reveal the practice carries risks. In other words, what happened to Elijah McClain is not a one-off. It's been going on all the time in the United States. They do it all the time. Police arrest random people for no reason and then shoot them up with drugs until they die. And then they get away with it. Because the United States is a white supremacist society. So, remember how there's supposed to be safe zones that the Palestinian people can go to in order to not get bombed by Israel? Doesn't matter what happens, right? Israel will still kill you even if you go to a safe zone. An NBC News investigation into 7 deadly airstrikes has found Palestinians were killed in areas of southern Gaza that the Israeli military had explicitly designated as safe zones. So in other words, the Israeli military is like, hey guys, if you don't want to get bombed, go to this location. So the people went to that location, then Israel shot bombs into that location once they were concentrated into an area. Because Israel's engaged in genocide, and the United States is helping them. My rep, Andrea Salinas, voted to send them more bombs to kill more people. I mean, genocide is kind of a deal breaker. Genocide's a deal breaker. If you're supporting genocide, I can't support you. You've lost my vote. What's this one?
Oh my God! What are you doing? Let them go! Let them go! Let them go!
So the police will just randomly arrest people who threaten the status quo, threaten white supremacy. And you can't say, "Oh, the police are just protecting everyone." No, that's bullshit. Remember when Charlottesville or Charlotte, one of the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, the Unite the Right rally. Where were the police there? Remember the Nazis killed someone at Charlotte. They used a car to murder someone. Like the night before, they had a tiki torch march across the entire campus. The police never arrested them for that. So that gives you a hint on which side the police are on, which is, they're on the side of white supremacy. Wherever you dig in Gaza, you find its bodies buried by the Israeli army deep in the ground. This world is dirty and brutal, and slogans of freedom, dignity, and human rights hold no value. Yeah, do you see that? Israel! So you cannot trust the police. The police are the bad guys, always, always. You can't trust them. Even if you try to work with them, they will still get you, right? Even if you try to follow their commands, they will still arrest you because they work for white supremacy. So this guy was like the loudest voice in this crowd. The police told the crowd to disperse, so he instructed the crowd to disperse, and then the police arrest him for it.
We have to disperse. We thank you all for your energy. We want you to stay tuned. If you're following us, if you're on our chats, please look there for our updates. We need everyone to disperse now to avoid arrest. Please, thank you for the energy. We need to disperse. We cannot keep marching. All right? We appreciate
There'll be another march soon. There'll be another march soon.
We have to disperse, y'all. They're giving us a pain in the ass, but we have to disperse.
Don't drum.
Okay?
You're the leader. You're the leader. Yeah, you are. If you don't drum, we're good. If you don't drum, we're good.
All right, so that guy dispersed the crowd. Right? He did exactly what the police wanted.
And we go out that way. You're still in the same group. It does nothing. That's why we wanted to go out somewhere farther away from people so we could actually disperse. See, but you didn't let us do that. See, so now you're upset.
So he's trying to be the mediator, trying to work with the police, and he dispersed the crowd. Right? And look what the police do. Thanks for helping us out. We're gonna arrest you now. They just arrest him now. That one guy, they arrested him because he dispersed the crowd. He did what the police wanted. So you can't work with the police, right? They will fuck you no matter what. The police will fuck you no matter what. Don't ever talk to the police. Never talk to the police, right? Never talk to the police. Never. Never talk to the police. The police are never your friends. Like, I talked to the police one time when I was at the Planned Parenthood protest in Salem. So I had a whole video on it, right? I had a whole video on the plan on what happened. A white supremacist church came to Salem from Washington to harass the Planned Parenthood in Salem, Oregon, and they had backup from the Proud Boys. So this white supremacist church with Proud Boys came from Washington to harass the Planned Parenthood in Salem, and I was there with maybe a handful of other protesters, and the Proud Boys surrounded me and were about to beat me up. They're about to beat me up, but the cops were right there. So the cops stopped the Proud Boys from beating me up, and then they wanted my information. So I gave them my information and explained, like, you know, and I took a video of the Proud Boys trying to beat me up. And so they wanted the video of the Proud Boys getting ready to beat me up. So I talked to the police. I sent them the video of the Proud Boys about to beat me up. The next day, in the newspaper, the police reported that I was arrested. I was never arrested. I was never arrested. I was the one attacked by the Proud Boys. But the police reported in the paper, in the Portland paper, in the Salem paper, in all the newspapers, that I was arrested, and I had to go down there and prove that I wasn't the one that got arrested, and for them to like retract it from the newspapers. The police won't help you if you talk to them. The police will just fuck you. Never talk to the police. Yeah, I have a whole video on that called the Cult of the White Idol. Go watch it, right? It's a great video. But it's a perfect example of even when the police are there to help you, they don't help you. They help white supremacy. So you might go on the internet, right, and try to have a discussion about Palestine, about the Israeli genocide, and you'll be attacked by random people. It seems like random people will come in and say bad things about you, and you'll think, why is there so much like hatred toward me for protesting against genocide? Well, it turns out Israel pays, just like Russia pays people to infiltrate U.S. internet forums to spread bad information. Israel does the same thing. Israel does the same thing. Just as a reminder that Hasbara trolls get paid per engagement and more for replies and replies to replies. This is an old payment list. The money has probably quadrupled since. So if you engage instead of block, you're helping them make money. So this is an example of how much money. So in other words, Israeli trolls are paid money to get you to respond to them. Like their whole point is to get engagement get you to engage them, and they get paid money per engagement. So the more you argue with Israeli trolls, the more money they make. So it's useless, right? It's no point to even try to talk to anyone on the internet who's pro-genocide, because they get paid for it. They're literally getting paid for it. So here's a Holocaust survivor, someone who survived a genocide. As someone who survived the genocide, they're standing with the Palestinians.
A Holocaust survivor. I do not deserve applause. I am here because I experienced as a child every single thing that a child is experiencing on a daily basis, including the loss of my family, including war, firebombing, and you name it. It pleases me to no end to see that you are here. I take courage and inspiration from you to keep going. I'm 88 years old. I am a civil rights activist. When I came to America as an almost 17-year-old in New York City, I discovered America. I discovered the racism, and I became an activist against war, justice, and I'm here as a peace activist. We need to bring this to an end. There is no excuse for the slaughter of 15,000 children and untold others. We have to act with peace and love. And I am proud to be here with you, and I hope you will continue. We are on the side of justice and peace.
So, don't believe so remember the power of framing. Understand the power of framing, right? The Palestinian people are being genocided by Israel. But the media is trying to make a frame that shows that the Palestinian people are actually the bad guys attacking the Israelis. It's not true. Israel has occupied Palestine for 70 years. 70 years. They have no intention. Israel has no intention of peaceful coexistence with the Palestinian people. They want to take the land. They want to take all the land. And it's not me saying it, right? It's not like I'm the one who came up with this idea. Like, I'm not like some super smart guy that figured it out by myself. Right? Go to the source. Go to the president who signed the paper to make the thing happen.
We had several other people in the country.
Notice on this map that Israel doesn't exist. It's Palestine. Palestine. It was Palestine even back then. It was Palestine.
Even among the Jews, the Zionists particularly, who were against anything that was to be done if they couldn't have the whole of Palestine and everything handed to them on a silver plate.
So, from the beginning, Zionists wanted everything, all the land. They wanted all the land. From the beginning. It's not a new thing. They've always wanted it. It's always been a settler colonial project. It's always been a project of genocide. It's always been that.
So they wouldn't have to do anything. It couldn't be done. We had to take it in small doses. You can't move 5 or 6 million people out of a country and fill it up with 5 or 6 million more and expect both sets of them to be pleased.
So, understand that these people came, these Zionists came from other countries. They didn't come from Palestine, they came from Europe. These people came from Europe. And just like the settler colonialists that came from Europe to take over America and genocide the Native Americans, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Europe sending colonialists to genocide the native inhabitants and take their land. It's the same thing.
We had all sorts of objections to everything that was done. Something had to be done. We went ahead and done it, and had it done, and now it's working out. Eventually, I think we'll have them all satisfied. But it's going to take a great deal of time yet to get the job done.
Yeah, how naive. Like, you said it yourself, President Truman. You said it yourself. They wanted the whole of Palestine for themselves. The Zionists, the Zio-Nazis wanted the whole of Palestine for themselves. They've always wanted that. Do you think they just go away? You think they just give up? You gave them like a nice chunk of it, and now they're trying to take the rest of it. And they're using the tools of famine and war to make it happen. So you saw that Holocaust survivor, that Jewish Holocaust survivor, on the side of Palestine. You saw, so you know that it's not about, it's not anti-Semitism to criticize the state of Israel, because Israel is not Jewish. Israel is a settler colonial project, a racist project. It's a racist project. It has nothing to do with Jewish people. The only thing it has to do with Jewish people is that Israel wants to use Jewish people as cover for its actions. By saying, oh, you can't criticize Israel, that's anti-Semitic. No, it's not anti-Semitic. Israel is not Semitic. Israel is a state, not a person. So, University of Connecticut was fine with people camping for basketball. Like, right? So it's not like the universities have a major problem with people camping on their property, right? They're okay if you're there to camp for basketball. They were okay I mean, I don't know about this one, but the university where the Unite the Right rally happened, they were okay with people marching with tiki torches saying Jews will not replace us. That was fine. Right? They're not going to send the police after you. Oh, but if you're camping to protest genocide, oh, now the full weight of the state comes down upon you. That's because the United States is a white supremacist society. So remember that baby that was here. In fact, let me show you the video. So Israel, remember, Israel will send in airstrikes to those places which it calls safe. So people go there to be safe, and then Israel blows them up. So Israel killed a pregnant woman. Israel killed a pregnant woman, but they tried to save the baby they tried to save the baby. Where's it at?
قص بالعدل قص خلينا نطلع فوق العمليات قص يا ابني
So the mom's dead. The mom died. The mom was killed by an Israeli airstrike, but they tried to save the baby. But how are you going to save a baby in the middle of a war zone that's being blockaded by Israel and you can't get enough food for the people? How are you going to save a baby under those conditions? Like, Israel's trying to kill everyone there. And it's not trying to do it outright that you can blame them for it. It's trying to do it slow enough that people won't notice. Well, unfortunately, that baby died. Baby girl orphaned and premature after Israeli airstrike in Gaza has died. So you know this isn't about saving lives. Israel is all about murdering everyone there, even little babies. Right. Andrea Salinas, look what you did, Andrea Salinas. Andrea Salinas killed a little baby girl. You want me to vote for you? I can't believe that. You want me to vote for you now? Oh, that's hilarious. So here's Denver police arresting people. Look at the police presence there. Just for people camping out, just for a bunch of tents. Non-violent people protesting against genocide is met with police violence.
Are you covering your face?
Look what they're doing, dude. Right. The United States is a white supremacist state, and it will use the government, it will use force to defend genocide. But remember, if you're a white supremacist, you can walk freely in the streets. You can overthrow the government, and nothing will happen to you, so that you can do it again the next time. So Donald Trump had his Supreme Court argument. Donald Trump was saying, oh yeah, I'm allowed to overthrow the government because I'm king, and you can't charge me for that. And the conservative people on the Supreme Court were in agreement that saying that, oh yeah, Donald Trump is king. But they won't rule on it until after the election. Because the problem is, if they say that the president is king and Joe Biden is still king, they'll give the power to Joe Biden. So they can't do that. They have to wait until after the election to decide. If Joe Biden becomes president, then they'll say no, the president is not king. But if Donald Trump becomes president, they'll say yes, the president is king. The whole point was to delay. Right? The whole point, because that's how Donald Trump wins. he wins by delaying justice. His whole point is to delay justice until he's dead. If he can die before the United States does anything about his crimes, technically then he died with impunity. He is totally immune to the laws. Like, for a nation that says, oh yeah, we're a nation of laws, and then to let some dude like commit all sorts of crimes and try to overthrow the government, and then nothing happened to him, that's a total refutation of the statement that we're a nation of laws. We're not a nation of laws. We're a nation of oligarchs, where oligarchs are above the law. The law is only for little people. So the Supreme Court, his friends on the Supreme Court gave Donald Trump that lifeline. They're going to delay the court case because he's being tried for trying to overthrow the government. But the Supreme Court is going to delay the court case until after the election to give him one more chance to overthrow the country. Because you know that's what he's going to do. No matter what, if either Donald Trump wins the election and becomes president, or Donald Trump loses the election and then claims voter fraud and tries to overthrow the government again. So we're heading toward another January 6th in some form of or another. Maybe it won't be exactly the same way that it happened last time, but it'll be like the same idea: overthrow the government to install dictatorship. And what's so funny is that there's so many Americans who are on board with it. But that kind of tells you, right, that this is a white supremacist nation. The people in the United States are white supremacists. And I wouldn't say all people, but I would say the majority of white people are white supremacists. Because the majority of white people are Republicans, and the Republicans are the Nazi Party of America. That's the party of insurrection. That's the party of overthrowing democracy for dictatorship. So, and if the majority of white people are in that party, the majority of white people are white supremacists. It's just logical. So Donald Trump's lawyer argued, here we go, for the record, Trump's attorney, John Sauer, argued before the Supreme Court that, depending on the circumstances, assassinating a political rival could be considered an official act. Now, yeah, that's what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to make right-wing death squads. That's exactly what Donald Trump wants, right-wing death squads. Let me give you an example of this. Remember during the George Floyd protests, a guy named Kyle Rittenhouse grabbed his AR-15 and crossed state lines and killed 3 people. He murdered 3 people. Then he went to trial and got away with it. Remember that? Well, there was another guy here in Portland. Oh man, I forgot his name. Because it's not Anglo. So I can't remember it. Michael Reinhardt or something. Michael Rennell. So the same thing happened to Michael Rennell, right? But it was different. The circumstances were different with Michael Rennell. What happened with him was white supremacists from out of state crossed state lines to come to Portland in order to cause problems and create violence. They were stalking Michael Rennell to do him violence. They found him and they were going to attack him. And he defended himself with a gun. Right? That's the American thing. That's the American thing, right? That's what they always tell you. It's American to defend yourself with a gun. So that's what he did. He defended himself with a gun. And he killed the attacker. So what did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump sent an assassin squad to go and kill him before he could go to trial. He didn't even get to have a trial because Donald Trump killed him before he could do it. The dude was innocent. Michael Rennell was innocent of murder. He was totally innocent. He was defending himself from extremists that crossed state lines to do him harm. He was defending himself, but he didn't have a chance to his day in court because Donald Trump killed him. And that's what Donald Trump wants. He wants the ability to kill anybody he wants. Anybody that threatens him, he wants to kill. And his lawyer argued it as much, that it's okay for the president to kill anyone who they want. And you have to remember, a lot of Americans agree with Donald Trump. That means a lot of Americans are white supremacists. I mean, that's just a nice example for contrast, right? If you murder for white supremacy, you'll get off. You'll go free. But if you defend yourself from white supremacists, they will assassinate you. You won't even get to go to court. They'll just kill you. See, the police are not your friends. Here's the funny thing. I think this was in Washington Post. For example, twice as many white evangelical Protestants as Jews say that Israel was given to the Jewish people by God. So why would white evangelicals believe in the story more than Jewish people? Why would evangelicals believe it more than the Jewish people? Why? Because understand that white evangelicals have a doomsday prophecy. Their doomsday prophecy says that all the Jews are going to go to Israel and then either convert to Christianity or be destroyed. You see why the evangelicals want to Israel? It's not for the benefit of the Jewish people. White evangelicals are not promoting Israel for the benefit of the Jewish people. They're doing it so they can convert the Jews or kill them. Oh. Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. So remember how this woman was able to go onto a campus and try to like elicit bad things? Remember that? What would happen if she tried to do that on a campus in Gaza? What happened if she would try to do that on a campus in Gaza? We're never gonna find out. Because why?
It was once a symbol of higher education in Gaza City. Now, Isra University is gone.
Oh, Israel
Dust
blew up
and
the
debris
university!
have lost hope for a generation of Palestinians.
That's what happens. Israel blew up the university in Gaza. You would never find out because Israel blew it up. See? White supremacists hate universities, dude. They hate higher education. They hate it. White supremacists hate higher education. Because white supremacists need an uneducated population to manipulate. And if you're educated, you're harder to manipulate. So, okay, so I talked about how the Supreme Court is gonna give Donald Trump a victory in delaying the court case until after the election. That way the people of America will not find out about what Donald Trump did on January 6th. They don't want him, because that would hurt his re-election chances. But there's a problem in that the Supreme Court itself is corrupt. Like, all the conservative justices on that Supreme Court are corrupt. In particular, Clarence Thomas is one of the most corrupt people on the Supreme Court. We already know. We already have pictures of him taking bribes from billionaires. We already, like, here's an actual painting, a painting of Clarence Thomas being hosted by all these people, these billionaires, at the billionaire's place. so that he would rule in favor of what the billionaires. So we already know that that Clarence Thomas is corrupt. But did you know that he's corrupt in even more ways? His wife was involved in trying to overthrow the government on January 6, 2021. His wife was involved in it. And as Arizona issues an indictment of the Trump conspiracy, it's a good time to remember that Jeannie Thomas pressured 29 different Arizona state legislators, urging them to approve the fake electors. So Clarence Thomas, a judge in Donald Trump's case to overthrow the government, his wife was involved in trying to overthrow the government. He's not going to rule against Donald Trump because that would be indicting his own wife. He wants to overthrow the government. Clarence Thomas wants to overthrow the government. He's totally corrupt. Why is he on the Supreme Court? Why is he even there? Because the white supremacists put him there. The United States is a white supremacist nation that we're and our goal, our duty as good Americans is to overthrow the white supremacy and to fulfill the promise of the United States, which is truth, justice, and liberty for everyone, not just for white supremacists, but for everyone, not just for the rich, but for everyone. Like, I remember growing up and being going through like high school and stuff, and we're given such a whitewashed interpretation of history that it's no wonder that most Americans don't understand what's going on, because they were never educated to understand it. The education that you're given up through high school is a whitewashed version, meant to make the United States look good, and to promote well, to hide the fact that it's a white supremacist nation. Like, the only reason why I even remembered the Trail of Tears from middle school, because we kind of skipped over it, was because there was a painting of it. And I remember the painting and the picture in the book, but we didn't actually talk about it like in the history book. I just remember seeing the painting, and then we skipped that section in so that's all I knew of the Trail of Tears from middle school, was a picture I saw in the history book that we were given. And maybe there was a tiny little blurb about it, but it didn't really explain what was happening. Yeah, American education doesn't teach its people about the bad things that the United States has done. It gives a really, really whitewashed version of it. And you would never know if I didn't go to college. I would never know. So yeah, how many people in the United States go to college? Not many. The vast majority of people get a high school education, and that's it. And so they would never find out about these things. That's what makes the internet so great, is because, like, before, information was really, really hard to come by. It was really hard to get information. And now with the internet, you can look up anything. Of course, now it's getting poisoned by bad actors, but still, the idea of the internet is really good, that any information you want, you can get. Oh yeah, snipers. They had snipers overlooking the Gaza protests, or the anti-genocide protests. Where were those snipers during January 6th? Not there, because America is a white supremacist nation, and it's a bigger crime to protest genocide than it is to try to overthrow the government. Oh yeah, Donald Trump. So Donald Trump's trial right now, New York trial. The only reason why this New York trial is even going forward is because this happened before Donald Trump was president. So the idea that the prosecutor is saying is that Donald Trump entered into a conspiracy with David Pecker, who is the owner of the National Enquirer. Their conspiracy was to spread bad stories about Donald Trump's opponent and good stories about Donald Trump in order to get Donald Trump elected. So it was a conspiracy to defraud the people of the United States. And the proof of it is by the headlines, right? The National Enquirer said all sorts of crazy things. Hillary Clinton, 6 months to live. What? Remember when they were trying to say that Hillary Clinton was sick and she was on their way to dying? Brain cancer drama, the National Enquirer. You're like, proof Obama wiretapped Trump. It's all bullshit, right? It's all bullshit. All of this is bullshit that the National Enquirer spread on behalf of Donald Trump to get Donald Trump elected. How many stupid Americans believe that the tabloids? A shit ton of Americans did. A shit ton of Americans believed the stupid tabloids of the National Enquirer to get Donald Trump elected Donald Trump. Like, oh, that's why they're against education. Because if you're educated, you can see that that's just tabloid, a bunch of nonsense with no proof. But that's how they manipulate the American people. So, everyone talks about the mass graves. And the United States says, well, we need to do an investigation into these mass graves. And Israel's like, nah, no, we don't. No, we don't. Investigate what? You see what I mean? That's exactly the tactic used by the trolls on Facebook. Like, it's a bad faith question. Because they know exactly what you're talking about. They just want you to waste time and energy trying to explain it to them so they can deny it again. So, where did this idea of fake news come from? Like, what? I hear this all the time. The Republicans will, the MAGATs will always say fake news, all the time. Where did that come from, that idea of fake news? Let me think. Where's that? It came from you know how the racists have taken the word woke and used, because woke, the idea of woke, the word woke came from African Americans. It came from black people. Woke was a statement of being awakened, being aware of what? Of the white supremacy system in which we live. That's what they're talking about. That's why they used it. Stay woke. Stay aware of the white supremacy all around you. That's why they used it. But then white supremacists picked it up, and now they use woke as a substitute for the N-word. How did that happen? They just flipped the word. They made it mean something totally opposite of what it was intended to mean. But that's not the first time. They've been doing that for like a long time. Remember back in 2016? How teens in the Balkans are duping Trump supporters with fake news. This is where that word fake news came from. It literally came from fake news. Kids in Macedonia would make up stupid shit and post it, and then see what would stick. BuzzFeed News identifies more than 100 pro-Trump websites being run from a single town in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. So these kids would make these websites to spread fake information, literally fake news. They would just make shit up. But because these stories confirm the biases of Trump supporters, they would pick it up and spread it around as if it were true. That's where the term fake news came from. Now, anymore, Trump supporters, anytime you say anything negative about Donald Trump, like of course it's true, right? Because Donald Trump is a bad guy, right? But they shield their psyche by saying, oh, that's fake news, fake news. You dumbass, you're the reason why that fake news even exists. Because you're... Oh. Yeah, a lot of Americans are white supremacists. What else do I got? any journalist incapable of distinguishing between Judaism and Zionism commits a category error that should bar them from the profession. For example, uncritically allowing Jonathan Greenblatt to call the Columbia protests anti-Semitic, eliding the fact that Jewish Voice for Peace is one of the organizers, should be grounds for firing. So Jonathan Greenblatt called the protests anti-Semitic, even though Jewish people are the ones organizing it. So he's saying that Jewish people are anti-Semitic. Jewish people hate Jewish people. What? He's doing it to make a false frame in support of white supremacy. Because Israel wants to conflate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. They want to... So here's the chair of the philosophy department in Emory University being arrested for being at the protest.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do for you right now?
Yes, can you call the philosophy department office and tell them I've been arrested?
Philosophy department?
Yes, call the philosophy department office.
I will. What's your...
Noel McAfee, I'm chair of the philosophy department.
I got you.
President-elect.
I got you.
So, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how peaceful you are. The police will come and arrest you if you defy white supremacy, if you threaten white supremacy. Do you think, like, of course she's the chair of the department. Of course she's supposed to be there. How can they arrest her for trespassing? She works there. She's the chair of their department. But she's standing in opposition to white supremacy. Therefore, she's a threat to the state. And they will arrest her. Like, so what happened to free speech, guys? Where's Elon Musk? I thought he was a big champion of free speech. He's not saying shit because he's a white supremacist. He doesn't actually believe in free speech. He believes in white supremacy. Elon Musk. That's how you can tell Elon Musk is a Nazi, because he only uses he only uses free speech to promote fascism, not to actually promote, like, the idea of free speech. Elon Musk is so stupid. Overtime pay. Breaking. 4 million workers will now take home more money when they work more than 40 hours a week under a new Labor Department rule released today. The change would make it so that salaried workers earning less than $59,000 a year would automatically be due overtime pay. Yay! That's good. People should get paid for their labor. Invoked. 10-19. Motion to invoke cloture on the motion to concur in the House message to accompany H.R. 815 National Security Supplement. So that's the vote that allowed for that sends aid to Ukraine. Mike Johnson blocked aid to Ukraine for like months and months and months, and that let Russia kill a bunch of Ukrainians and advance the front line against Ukraine. I don't know what made Mike Johnson change his mind to allow a vote. I don't know what did it. But yeah, he was totally working for Russia in order to hand Ukraine over to Russia. Tennessee Republicans protect guns. Just so we're clear. In the wake of a school shooting that killed 3 kids and 3 adults, the Tennessee legislature's response has been to shield gun manufacturers from liability, arm teachers, ban local cities and counties from passing their own red flag laws, and silence and even expel Democrats demanding gun control. So that lets you know that guns and white supremacy go hand in hand. Like, Republicans don't trust teachers with books, but they'll give them guns. I'm just pointing out that Republicans are white supremacists, and the majority of Americans are white supremacists. I wouldn't say the majority of Americans. That's not true. But a lot of Americans are. How about the majority of Republicans are white supremacists? That's way better. I mean, because the Republican is the Nazi Party of America. It's the Confederate Party of America. So yeah, the majority of Republicans are white supremacists. What do you want me to do, dude? I'm not the one saying it. I'm not the I'm just pointing out what's there. I'm not making a value judgment. I'm pointing out what's really there. It's not me that's saying that they're white supremacists. It's them, by their actions and by their associations. So here's a Washington Post story. Ali Barakeh, a member of Hamas's leadership based in Beirut, said in an interview Thursday that in negotiations brokered by Egypt and Qatar, Hamas was proposing to release all foreign civilian hostages in exchange for a 5-day ceasefire. Israeli civilian hostages would be released if additional demands were met, he said, including the release of Palestinian women and children in Israeli prisons and the opening of the Rafah border crossing so wounded civilians can receive care in Egypt and food, fuel, and medicine and water can enter into Gaza. We are ready to let them all leave, Barakah said. The United Nations could distribute the aid, he said, including fuel intended for hospitals, to fulfill Israel's demand that no supplies reach Hamas. But Israel, Netanyahu, isn't actually interested in the safety of the hostages. Remember, Israel has taken thousands upon thousands of Palestinian hostages all the time. They just randomly arrest random people and hold them in prison for whatever length of time. So Israel's already taken a shit ton of hostages. And the agreement, the proposal was release the hostages that Israel holds, and then Hamas will release its hostages. But Netanyahu isn't interested in the safety of the hostages. Netanyahu is interested in genocide, in taking the land. And the way he takes the land is through genocide. So Netanyahu will use the plight of the hostages in order to continue the genocide as cover. Just like he tries to he uses anti-Semitism to cover the Israeli genocide. He wants to protect Israel from criticism by saying it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, which is bullshit. I mean, obviously Donald Trump is a bad guy. Obviously, right? He's the leader of the fascist force trying to overthrow democracy in the United States. But Joe Biden is having a hard time getting votes. And why is that? Because he believes he can get by without the vote of the Arabs, Arab Americans, and the youth. He thinks he can do it without the youth. He thinks he can get by without the youth. And Joe Biden might say, well, I'm protecting Israel because it's a geopolitical issue, that we need a counterweight to Iran in the region, and that's Israel. But then you gotta ask, at what cost? At what cost? If you have to lose your soul in order for that to happen, is it worth it? If you have to turn into a fascist nation in order to keep Israel as an ally, is it worth it? All right, with that, I'm done. Pogokiro out. Peace. Stop.